Disney CEO Bob Iger recently had his annual shareholder meeting, and it was very interesting. There were a lot of questions, obviously, from the shareholders with all the upheaval going around Disney right now. And a lot of it had to do about the political involvement of Disney and whether or not it was smart and in their best interest as a company to be weighing in on all these things when they should be concentrating on entertainment. And in my opinion, Bob Iger is absolutely playing with fire. He is absolutely asking to get burnt here. Bob Chapek already got burnt. Obviously, the state of Florida was not very happy with them, and they are losing a lot of money because of what happened afterward. He actually calls it retaliation. I have a different perception of what that was. We'll get to that when that question gets here. He's also an absolute hypocrite. I couldn't believe one of the points he tries to make regarding like the Holocaust in World War II, especially when you think about who Disney are in bed with and who they recently thanked personally and what those people are actually responsible for. Just really disgusting stuff. The first question during the Q&A portion that I want to get to, the shareholder asked Iger, is it wise for the company to take political positions to satisfy a very small portion of people when our primary mission is entertainment, not education? This is the first half of the answer that I'm going to get to. Bob Iger said, first of all, as the CEO of the company, I think my job is to strive to do what I think is best for our business, and that includes what's best for our cast members and employees and what will enable them both to flourish. I don't think we should or can weigh in on every issue, and I also understand that there are going to be gray areas. There are going to be times when we decide to weigh in on an issue that we believe is worthy of debate because of its relevance and importance to our business or to our employees. And there are times when I actually believe we shouldn't. I would say most of the time they probably shouldn't because they are an entertainment company. And guess what? People on both sides of the aisle have debit cards. They go to movies, they get Disney Plus, they buy t-shirts, they buy lunch boxes. It's just not good for business when you're a company as big as Disney that really wants to entertain everybody to go and put yourself in the middle of a lot of these political debates. And he says, we have to think about, our employees on this one. Disney are literally in the middle of firing 3 to 6% of all of their employees right now because of some of the stupid decisions that they've made. And I personally do believe, and you can disagree with me if you would like, that Disney jumping into some of these very divisive political situations has hurt their bottom line, has made people lose faith in Disney as a company, as a brand, as a family brand, and walk away from them, therefore necessitating them to actually go out there and have to fire their employees. I would say employees that are not happy with a bill in a state where you have a park are probably better off with jobs than fired and not having any benefits and stuff like that. This guy is not really a big picture thinker. I don't understand how he got in this position. And now that he's been in this position for a very long time, this is not Bob Iger's first rodeo as the CEO of Disney, how he doesn't understand that being divisive, giving families a reason not to believe in your brand and whether or not they want you to be a part of their children's lives anymore can in any way, shape, or form be a net positive for the employees, even if they are LGBT, and you specifically believe that that law that was going through the Florida legislature that was specifically talking about children, and I personally, and this is just me, and you can disagree with me, we can talk about it some other time, I think that law, with the wording that it had, was absolutely justified. It made a whole lot of sense to me as a parent, and I think most parents probably agree with it, and there's a reason that is actually law right now in the state of Florida. Because whether you like Ron DeSantis or not, I think in that instance, he was absolutely looking out for the well-being of the people of Florida, which is his job. It is not Ron DeSantis' job to look out for Disney employees. It's not Ron DeSantis' job to look out for Disney and make sure they're happy. He's there to look out for the state of Florida. And it's Disney's job not to chastise the state of Florida or jump into divisive political debates. It's actually to be out there and entertain, maybe be a little bit of a distraction to all the nonsense going on in the world. He continued on with this answer, and it's a very long answer. I can't go through it all. But I thought this part was really hypocritical. And this was evident during the civil rights era. As I recall as a child, when a lot of companies weighed in on injustice they saw in America, it was certainly true during World War II when those that stood in silence in some ways still carried the stain of indifference. So as long as I'm in the job, I'm going to continue to be guided by a sense of decency and respect and trust our instincts that when we do weigh in, we weigh in because the issue is truly relevant to our business and to the people that work for us. Surprised you never actually talk about the customers, because the customer is king. And the reason that they're having a lot of these issues is because customers are walking away. And in fact, I would say Disney has turned a lot of those customers away. In saying this is civil rights, this is like, why is it the only two things people can think about or compare anything to are the civil rights era and the Holocaust during World War II, to compare chemically castrating children to the civil rights era, it's a leap. And I know to a lot of people it probably isn't, but to the vast majority of people, at least that I know, and I imagine just most people with common sense, like the two things just don't go hand in hand. And obviously when he talks about the silence or indifference during World War II, he's talking about the Holocaust because America didn't jump into World War II guns blazing on day one. Obviously it took the attacks on Pearl Harbor, and eventually America did go find the Holocaust camps and saved a lot of Jews that were being, exterminated. It was genocide on a mass level that was being perpetrated. And what's insane is there is genocide going on in the world right now in China with obviously the Uyghur Muslims. I believe 2 million people have been sent for re-education in China. And if you look at the movie Mulan, in the end, China thinks like the autonomous Uyghur fucking government part, the people that are actually perpetrating the genocide on a mass scale, they think them personally during the movie. How the hell can you not put those two together? If there's one thing going on in the world right now that's kind of like the Holocaust, it's what's happening to the Uyghur Muslims in China. But Disney is willing to thank them personally, but somehow a legally passed measure in the state of Florida to protect children is like the Holocaust. Like, you can't really get your head around these things because one is very much like the other. It's disgusting behavior, and somehow Disney fighting against that, they're on the side of MLK and civil rights and stopping the Holocaust, even though they're thanking people that are committing genocide on a mass scale. Like, it's just the world we live in. Bob Iger is absolutely playing with fire. He is asking to get burned, and I do believe he is not long for that Disney CEO job. I don't think at this point it matters what he does because they've churned off so many families. The actual core customer base that supports Disney through and through, they churned so many of them off. I don't think they can get back to true profitability within the next 5 years. And I think Bob Iger is going to get fired either way because of it. But the least you could do is understand how you got here and what's really going on in the world. But it appears he's so obsessed with Florida and the retaliation. Another person, Alan Fisher of Ameriprise, asked Iger what steps have already been taken or will be taken to protect shareholder value with regard to the legal battle between Disney and Ron DeSantis in the Reedy Creek Improvement District. This is what he had to say. A year ago, the company took a position on pending Florida legislation, and while the company may have not handled the position it took very well, a company has the right to freedom of speech just like individuals do. And obviously, upon taking the position, the governor got very angry about the position Disney took, and it seems he's decided to retaliate against us, including the naming of a new board to oversee the property and the business, in effect to seek to punish a company for its exercise of a constitutional right. Now, obviously, they do have a constitutional right just like an individual entity. Disney has the right to free speech just like everyone else in America. But Disney does not have the right to have a Reedy Creek Improvement District to where they're basically legislating and governing their own city. That would be considered a privilege granted to the Disney Corporation by the state of Florida for being good tenants. He's acting like they sent them to jail for taking a position, or they took away one of their constitutionally protected rights, which would be wrong. But he's done none of that. He's gone out there and said, listen, we gave you a sweetheart deal. We gave you autonomy that no other company in this state gets to enjoy. And now that you've decided to weigh in on the state's business, which is none of Disney's really, and decided to oppose us and try to influence the will of the people of Florida, we are going to look at your sweetheart deal, the very nice arrangement that we made with you, and decided that we are going to give you more oversight. You will not have your autonomy anymore. You will not get those wonderful business perks that you enjoyed for decades upon decades, and we will do what's in the best interest of the people of Florida. It's not like Disney can leave at this point. Are they going to just pick up the whole park and move it? Obviously, that's not really on the cards. So the state of Florida really had all the leverage in the case, and Disney overplayed their hand. Specifically, Bob Chapek overplayed his hand, and what Bob Iger should be doing is saying, you know what, we realized this probably wasn't something that was Disney business. Our employees can say whatever they want, and they can support organizations that are opposed to what you're doing, but we are an entertainment company. We are a proud tenant of the state of Florida, and we want to be good business partners. And I think Bob Chapek made a mistake. But instead of owning up to that and realizing that Disney are getting preferential treatment by the state of Florida, he's decided to double down and saying DeSantis is retaliating because Disney exercised our constitutional rights, but they don't have a right to the Reedy Creek stuff. So DeSantis in Florida are really doing nothing that isn't within their right of oversight of Disney as a corporation and how they operate within the state of Florida. It's absolutely insane. And another one of the many reasons I don't believe Bob Iger is long to be the CEO of Disney his second go around. I don't think he's cut out for this. I don't think he has what it takes to operate in this business environment where politics are so divisive right now within the customer base of Disney itself. He doesn't realize, listen, everybody's got money and everybody will spend money on Disney if we don't actually go out of our way to piss them off. Obviously, with a lot of what they're doing within their children's programming is pissing people off beyond just the political stance that they've taken when it came to that Florida legislature, which I believe was an enormous mistake on the part of Disney, one that Bob Iger should have owned up to and made right by now. But he's only made it worse, and he's only going to keep making it worse because Bob Iger, Victoria Alonso's God. That had nothing to do with Bob Iger wanting to shake up Disney and fix the way that families actually perceive Disney in 2023. It has nothing to do with going away from the woke crap that is ruining the Disney company right here, right now. In fact, Bob Iger has already promised he will double and triple down on it. If you haven't seen this, you need to see it right now. There's also a link in the video description.